Hello, welcome to Idol TV Chat. You've got myself, Apps, here, and I'm joined by Tom Adcock, not Adkins. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. New little segment.
Yeah.
TV Chat, nice.
Everything's called Idol something chat. So we've just had Idol footy chat, Idol game chat still there, just to categorise what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, I saw this Idol podcast chat. That's the new up-and-coming one, I hear.
Yeah, we'll be reviewing other podcasts. That'll be a good one. Real interesting for people. But we're here to talk about some TV. Well, technically it's not TV, but it's a web series that's made in a TV format. And that is Cobra Kai. So Cobra Kai is a follow-up 34 years later from The Karate Kid. Obviously the infamous film trilogy, and there's also the next Karate Kid which come after that. But I think most people hold the original trilogy in high regard. It's certainly the first one. Before we get into Cobra Kai and what it is, where people can find it, all that good stuff, I wanted to talk a little bit about the original films that are out back in the early 80s. Was you a big fan of the Karate Kid and all its sort of cheesy and weird and good things, or one of those people that kind of didn't like it?
Nah, mate, I was probably perfect. I'm old, aren't I? So perfect age for me, Karate Kid.
Yeah.
So, grew up with the original trilogy, watched it over and over. The first and I think it's kind of like Indiana Jones, where like the first and third kind of hit the same beats. You know, like Indy's got the Nazis in both of those. The second one's a bit weird. He's in India. Same with Karate Kid. I always liked the first and third because I think, you know, it was in his like California hometown. The second one where he went to China or Japan, wasn't as big a fan of that one, but loved them all. Great films.
I recently rewatched all three of them, probably about a month ago, and yeah, it's quite striking going from the first Karate Kid into the second one, because it's completely different tone and obviously location. They travel to Japan. They travel to Miyagi's hometown.
But weirdly, they do that bit at the beginning where it has like it has a couple of the original cast members, just like new footage. I don't know if that was filmed and cut from the first one.
No, I thought it was. I thought they'd filmed it and cut it out, but apparently they brought them back just for that one scene. So,
cheers.
Like, yeah, they love that. Like 2 minutes work, off you go. You're not in the next one.
I find it a bit weird, like jarring, but it's still a good movie, to be fair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it is. It's the only thing that lets that one down is I think the final fight. It's kind of built up that you're not playing for points anymore. He's playing for his life in that little ring, but it never really lives up to the hype, that fight. I didn't think. It just sort of uses that shit double-handed backhand punch thing over.
Oh yeah.
But the first one, obviously the end fight's iconic, where he crane kicks Johnny Lawrence in the head, old LaRusso with Miyagi looking on. And the third one... Go on.
I was just going to say, in that tournament, when that music kicks in, you know, you're the best.
Oh, yeah.
From that minute onwards, that's some absolute golden 80s TV, film, whatever.
That is magnificent, that particular piece. I did read that that was originally written for Rocky III, and in the end they decided to not use that, because... Bill Conti was involved in both of them, and obviously the director from Rocky, the original, John G. Avildsen, is the director for Karate Kid, the original. So he sort of hang on a minute, I know there's some good music lying around. You're the best, get that in. Stallone rejects it, like he had Eye of the Tiger, and we'll get that in. But yeah, that montage is great. That's probably the highlight.
It is great. Yeah, I would say like Stallone dropped a clanger there, but Rocky 3 has got some great music, so
yeah.
Give him that. He should have added that to it, though. But whatever.
Did you ever bother watching the next Karate Kid?
So I watched the one with the really famous actress in, which makes me sound ridiculous because I don't know her name. Is it Hilary Swank or whatever?
That's it,
yeah, I watched that one. I didn't watch I guess it's the reboot with Will Smith's boy.
That's not very good, in all honesty.
Is it not?
Nah, it's over 2 hours long. I just think it's obviously a retelling of it in some ways, but they take fun at the original. But it's not even karate; it's kung fu. So immediately I'm a bit annoying. So I'm like, hang on, we know that's not what he's doing. It. Yeah, I just didn't think it was all that really.
Fair enough.
Not one for me anyway. But yeah,
I can't even remember the fourth movie if I'm honest. Like, I've seen it, but it was years ago, and I remember having a fight with against a load of guys on a rooftop or something. That's about the extent of my memory. Did you rewatch that one then?
Yeah, I did. It's down by the harbour, that bit. I think right. Yeah. Could be a roof. It's so dark, no one can really tell what's going on. But the core three, I think, are the ones that we all know and love, with LaRusso and Miyagi. Obviously, Miyagi, the actor, Pat Morita, he's now gone, so he wasn't going to be involved in Cobra Kai. But I can't even believe Cobra Kai, which is now what we're going to speak about. It's a YouTube premium show, so much like Netflix, you can subscribe to YouTube Premium, and they run their own content. So I'm trying to think of an example on Netflix. If that sounds stupid, not knowing a really good original piece of content that they've made. Stranger Things, that's a Netflix original. So they run and produce their own shows. This is the equivalent for that on YouTube. And YouTube Premium, I think is £11 or £12 a month. I can't remember.
Yeah, sounds about right. I think about $11.99 or something.
Yeah, and it really gives you access to is YouTube. You can use it and download the videos rather than streaming them. You can play the sound, whilst the app's shut, and you listen to it if you want to. There's other things, but one of the positives of using it is that you've got access to some of their homemade stuff, which is what Cobra Kai is. And I think we both jumped on the free month that was offered to watch this. So if you're planning on watching it, one way to do it is to subscribe to YouTube Premium for the free month, watch it, and then cancel it after, and you'll be able to enjoy this. So yeah, I remember seeing the trailer about 6 months ago and thinking, what are they doing here? Because essentially it's set up that it's set 34 years later. It's retained the old actors. So you've got LaRusso, you've got Johnny Lawrence. Obviously Miyagi's not there, but I actually watched that first trailer and thought, what on earth is this?
I was the opposite. I watched it. Well, I watched it and I thought, you know what? That looks all right. But I figured it's a trailer. They can make anything look good in the trailer. And that was it. As far as I was concerned, I was like, that's a really nice, fun cut together trailer. Actually makes it look good, but it's going to be dreadful. So erase that from your brain. And next thing I know, 6 months have gone past, and then you tell me to watch it. That is my that's how I got to this point.
Yeah, and the only reason I don't even know why I watched it. That's it. I went on to Cinemassacre, and they had a video on there saying a review of Cobra Kai, and I thought I'll watch a little bit of it. And I normally watch the first sort of 3 minutes to get a feel of what they're going to say, and then either watch it or bin it, depending on if I'm interested. And the first couple of minutes, they both said it was really good, and I thought that's not what I was expecting at all. So I immediately turned it off, didn't want to hear any more about it, and thought, I know I can get a free month on YouTube Premium, let's give this a go. And I started watching it, and I was fucking glued to it. I mean, it's 10 episodes. They're between sort of 25 and 35 minutes long generally. And it is set 34 years after the original film. It retains the actors from the original film. Will Smith's an executive producer. Don't know what that means, but must be pouring some money into it. But Ralph Macchio and William Zabka are both in it, playing Johnny Lawrence and Danny LaRusso. And I mean, we're going to try and not do spoilers just yet. There will be some later on, because I think we want to talk about where the series ends and what could be done for the second series and beyond, because they've already announced they're going to do a second one. I think they finished filming it as well, so that's going into the cutting room. But overall, you've got 10 episodes of a 34-year-old franchise being resurrected, Cobra Kai. What's the general feeling? Was it a time well invested?
Oh, mate, I thought it was brilliant. I mean, it's so random, isn't it? As good as the Karate Kid is,
it's not the thing that you'd pick up on and go, let's do that again. It's not like Star Wars, is it? Where you go, right, let's reboot that and start that
exactly.
And fire it off again.
If you were a kid in the 80s or, whatever, you watched Karate Kid as a kid, it's a fun film, there's a million films like it and probably as many that are better. None of the characters are fleshed out in the movies. You've got, the goodies are goodies, the baddies are baddies. It's just really by the numbers kind of movie. It's got some good music and some cool fights. Like,
yeah,
it's not, 'cause it's not like Back to the Future even. It's not layered or, one for the whole family, really. I feel like it's a real, like a boys' film, when you're a kid. It's made for that. So, yeah, why they chose to reboot this or make a TV 10-episode follow-up, I'm glad they did, but it's beyond me, really.
Yeah. It was surprising, but I was more surprised that it was actually really good, and was pleased to have spent the time to go through it. Like I said, 10 episodes, just about half hour long either side of it, and that's sort of a good time, and it's easy to watch, isn't it? It's something that you can just bung on. You could watch a couple, and you've not had to dedicate a whole evening to it, but you still managed to get a good bit of telly out of it.
Oh, mate, and it's like, it's interesting, it's fun. It just hits all the right beats. Like it is cheesy. It hits on all the nostalgia, but in like a perfect way. And it's not just nostalgia for the movies. It's like, I mean, it's obviously set in modern day, but there's like flashbacks. And obviously Johnny Lawrence is stuck in the 80s, so it feels almost like, like an 80s kind of movie almost, just like with modern look over. I don't know. It's just very good. They've done it in a fantastic way, and I mean, it's not Citizen Kane. I mean, it's not even Breaking Bad, but I love the way that all the characters, they're all occupy like a grey area, I guess. They all kind of, they're actually quite well fleshed out, I would say. So yeah, I mean, I guess at least for this season, this is Johnny Lawrence's story, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing to mention. It's more focused around Johnny Lawrence than it is Daniel LaRusso. He probably has the majority of the screen time, but you still find out a lot about what's happened to Daniel, what he's doing now, and how he's kind of struggling without Miyagi being around and whatnot.
Yeah, and especially, I guess, after the first maybe couple of episodes, it does become more, like a 50-50, really, doesn't it? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, what I love about it is some of the throwbacks or the callbacks to the original's good. You mentioned they use footage and flashbacks and whatnot. What I thought was really clever is I've seen the film dozens of times, like the original. It's primarily stuff from there, but I've seen it dozens and dozens of times. But they still managed to dig up parts of the scenes that I'd seen with different camera angles, because most things are shot with at least two angles. I think there's a bit where Kreese wipes the blood off Lawrence's nose. And just seeing that from a different angle, like reshot almost. Obviously, it wasn't. Was good. It was just I was like, oh, that's new to me. I've not seen that angle. So they've really done their homework in getting hold of all the old footage and implementing it into the film and whatnot. You touched on it. It's mainly about Johnny Lawrence. Obviously, Cobra Kai is the title of the series. It's essentially a lot of it's focused around him reopening Cobra Kai, isn't it? And bringing the attitudes that John Kreese had taught to him into a modern world, but perhaps not as strongly as what John Kreese was doing back in the 80s. And one of the things I think that's really good is that the way Johnny's attitude is towards sort of modern life. Like, he thinks they're all pussies and that they're all mollycoddled and whatnot, and he's just like so backwards in his time. It's refreshing to see a character have that perspective where they're not just completely crumbled by modern society.
It's true. He's actually really funny in it.
Yeah,
really funny. I think he gets all the best lines, really. And I think I don't really want to say it, but the bit where he talks about his pupil getting his ass kicked because he hasn't got a good defence. The next line in that, it really made me laugh. He's so good. So why hasn't he been cast in more things? Like, he's actually decent. He hasn't been on telly in 30 years.
No, I've not seen him. It's the first time I've seen. I mean, the last time I saw Macho was in Entourage.
Yeah, and I think they Entourage, and I think How I Met Your Mother, both playing like the same characters, basically.
That's it, yeah. But William Zabka, who plays Johnny Lawrence, I hadn't seen him in either of those, but he was he's pretty good. Yeah, he does. Maybe he does get all the lines, but he's definitely up there. I like the fact they use the original soundtrack in some instances, or some of the music from the original trilogy.
See, I haven't seen it recently enough to notice this. This is like, you actually got like probably an extra 10% out of it by like being bang up to date and knowing these scenes and things.
Yeah, definitely. That did definitely help. But one thing that surprised me about the series in general was just how it was quite comedy focused. And, recently watching back the original trilogy, they've got funny bits in them, but it was sort of 70-30, maybe 30% of it. This feels it's actually a lot more comedy focused than the films, but that might put people off. But I will say that it's genuinely quite funny, the actual entire series.
And like I said, I think it hits, like I said, all those the beats of each episode are very good. So it's got like funny bits in, it's got some drama, it's got some action. You know what I mean? It's just got everything you would want from this, and more. It's stuff you didn't even know you wanted. Almost, they really, they've gone above and beyond. Really, like you said, like digging up archives. Like it's Karate Kid. It isn't Star Wars. Like there's no. I don't think anyone was crying out for this. They've just picked this franchise and they've just
brought it back to life.
Yeah, it's amazing, really. What did you think of all the supporting characters?
Yeah, so there are a lot of supporting characters. Obviously, Daniel LaRusso and Joey Lawrence are sort of the leads in it, but there are characters outside that. Most of them are sort of teenagers, aren't they? I can never work out how old American kids are. They say that they're in next year or like they're in the sophomore year. I don't know what that means, but I think they're all under 18. I'm assuming Mill Valley is still under 18 tournament. They've not changed that yet. That's been going on for 20 years like that. But I think in the same with Stranger Things, it's sometimes you can find younger actors that kind of spoil things, but I think generally they're all pretty good. And again, because you get so much time spent with them, you get 10 episodes, half hour each. And you mentioned earlier, everyone has their own sort of bit of real estate. Everyone goes through a little bit of a character arc in it, at least, and you see some sort of metamorphosis with some characters that is surprising and good. Yeah. It's the fact they don't focus primarily on LaRusso and Lawrence is good because it brings some fresher faces to it and kind of interprets some sort of sense to it. Sometimes you think, why are these two still squabbling over a fucking karate tournament 34 years ago? But it feels like it's more about how there's obviously elements of bullying and cyberbullying, things like that are modern takes that happen. Probably happened before, but things like cyberbullying is a modern thing to kind of show, and it shows the how the children kind of the teenagers deal with it, and the effects that can have. So I think it was good to do that, to reach outside of the initial cast and make an effort to give these other guys some screen time.
Great.
I think at this point we should put the warning out to spoil things. I think there's things we want to say that will be spoilers. So if you like what you've heard so far on this opening few minutes or whatever, stop the recording now, stop the podcast now, and then just go and watch it. Go on YouTube Premium, get your free month, watch it, then come back and listen to this bit, and you can hear our take. But last warning: this is where the spoilers will flow, essentially. So when you was asking about the other characters that are brought in, I think obviously we were speaking about, we haven't spoken about, but there's obviously LaRusso's family, in particular his daughter, who kind of gets tangled up with one of Johnny Lawrence's main students, like his star student, Miguel Diaz. So that's quite interesting. The only one I didn't like, in all honesty, was the coincidence that Johnny Lawrence's son ends up going onto LaRusso's side, like training with him. It kind of seemed a bit too good to be true, if that makes sense. Like
that was my one criticism. Actually, was I don't forget his name, like the actor and the character, but Lawrence's
Robbie,
son,
is it?
Was it
Robbie?
Oh, he might be Robbie. Yeah, I'm not going to say it in case he's wrong now, but yeah, call him Robbie for this anyway. I think it is. I don't think he got as much screen time as the others early on, and then that bit with LaRusso in the woods, it just felt a bit rushed, and then. Someone else pointed it out to me, actually. It's like LaRusso, once he finds out, he doesn't try and sort of fix the family. He just sort of nicks his son and sort of trains him. It's like, well, would he actually do that? Like, he's not a complete arsehole. But I did like the kid as a character. I thought it was good. I just felt I needed to, buy into that relationship a bit more. Like I wasn't. Did it like he just turned from like a proper bad kid instantly.
Yeah, just got like a shit job at his car place, and then was like, oh, this is my career now.
Just like LaRusso's like such a sort of saint that instantly changed all his bad habits into good. Like, because I thought for a while he was going to sort of double cross him maybe, and you know, like fuck him over or something. But no, he was just like turned into a good kid all of a sudden. And then obviously the other one sort of done a full Anakin Skywalker and went pure evil at the end. It's like, well, and I'm saying like, well, like, but it was actually good. It was just, you know, it's TV. It went a bit OTT maybe, but
yeah, because essentially you've got Lawrence's Cobra Kai dojo, which is full of kids. There's like 20 of them at the start of, and he slowly weeds out a few of them because he's just horrible to them. And I think the funniest sort of change is Hawk as he becomes known. Like, he's got like a scar down his lip. He's got like long hair. He's really quiet. And there's this, I can't remember the nerd bloke's name that they've kind of, those two are together, but he turns up and then Johnny Lawrence starts making fun out of his lip and all sorts, and you think, oh, he's gone. But then what does he say? He says something like, you've got to flip the script to stop people talking about your lip and bullying you or whatever, and then you think nothing of it. And then the next session he comes back in and he's got a mohawk. He's dressed all trendily and all punky and whatnot, and then
he's got a massive back tattoo as well.
Yeah, he gets like
15. He's had that done.
Easy. Can do anything in America, land of the free. So that made me laugh because that is one way to flip the scripts. And from then onwards, he becomes quite brash and cocky and confident, which I suppose is a good trait to have because he was a bit of a worm before that, with all the bullying going on. But keeping the original sort of two main characters of the cast, I think was key to this. Otherwise, no one would have bought into it. And having Johnny Lawrence and the Russos' rivalry, it feels like they were going to patch things up at one point, and then
where they go out for beers and stuff.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted it to. That would have made it better for me if they had managed to patch it up.
Yeah, that was one of my favourite sort of episodes and sort of whole scenes where they go back to their old like house and stuff.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, but they don't. There's because he finds out that he's been training Robbie, who's Johnny's son. It all kicks off again. There's animosity between them. I think one of the things that is basically it all as in all Karate Kid films, it builds towards a tournament at the end of the season, and you've got several of Johnny Lawrence's prodigies on there, and then you've got his son who comes in as an independent to start with, gets to like the final, and then LaRusso decides he's going to coach him and be sensei against Johnny Lawrence's star pupil, and during that fight you kind of like Miguel, who's the star pupil, takes the lead, and you think, oh, waiting for the Robbie comeback. Robbie starts coming back, and I was like, oh, they're not going to do it, are they? Not going to let LaRusso's sort of protege or the person he's been training win it all. And in a bit of a surprise turn, Miguel kind of used a bit of a not an illegal tactic, but he kicks him in an area where he's injured. I think he injured his shoulder, didn't he?
That's it, yeah.
And he kicks him there and then gets the point off of another strike directly afterwards. So it's a bit of a dirty win, but I was pleased that Cobra Kai won that, in all honesty, because I was thinking, it's just going to be a bit too much if Robbie comes back and wins this.
Well, it would just be really clean, and there'd be no where would they go from there. I think they've actually got it set up really nicely for at least one more season. I don't know, how many kids at that school can go and do karate lessons and solve their problems through karate, but I feel like it was a really nice. Also, because like LaRusso's daughter's clearly like shit hot at karate, and they've really only shown like a flash of that. So I feel like that's an arc of story. I don't know where she's going to fit into it, because it's all that they all fight each other, don't they? The girls fight the boys.
When's that?
In the All Valley fight, because that big girl fights, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, sorry, they do fight each other. There's no league, like, gender.
No, it just doesn't matter. Just fine. No weight classes, nothing. Under 18, you're in.
No, one of Johnny Lawrence's students is this really small kid, isn't he?
He's about 7. It's ridiculous.
He looks really young. He probably is really young, He gets paired against this this big teenager. I kind of thought, oh, he'll find a way to use his speed and win, but no, he just goes over there and boots him one.
Gets absolutely blitzed.
Absolutely ruins him, which I thought was quite funny. I honestly thought they would find a way for him to win against the odds, but no, he just gets cleaned out like he should do in real life. Johnny's quite an interesting character in this because he starts off as No Mercy, sort of teaching the ways of John Kreese quite strongly, and it feels as though the series goes on, he kind of adjusts his mentality slightly, starts to realise that there's a balance that needs to be taught, really, not just all or nothing. And then, like you said, unfortunately, Miguel Diaz, his star pupil, kind of has already gone down the Skywalker of Anakin route. Do you think that was a good move to have Johnny kind of be a bit conflicted and not just, one-dimensional, I'm still going to be an horrible bastard, basically?
Yeah, I think some of the smartest things they did is make everyone operate in that grey area, because he's a bit of a dick, but he's not a dick. He's just a douche, isn't he? Just stuck in the past. Only knows how to do one thing, fight his way out of trouble and stuff. And he's down on his luck at the beginning, and sort of he's got his own issues from his past and things, and he's just doing the best he can, I guess. Makes a hell of a lot of mistakes, but yeah, he definitely starts seeing the error of his ways, and then it's not an exact flip. I think LaRusso is more, I guess he's got everything going for him, isn't he? He's just struggling to sort of not be a dickhead, basically. So they are mirrors of each other, but they're going through their own things. They've done it really nicely, I think. LaRusso's problems, I guess, are problems of any person would have with a family and whatnot.
Yeah.
Their own business. And Lawrence makes for a good little anti-hero, really. I was definitely rooting for him the whole way.
Yeah.
Best thing about it, really. And then the thing is, LaRusso's not in any way the bad guy. There really isn't one. It's just seeing these opposing forces and getting them together for that classic fight. And I guess at some point they will have a little fight, maybe in the second season, I don't know.
Yeah, you'd imagine they'll have to cash in on that and have one more, battle between them both
at some point. Or I mean, we haven't said it yet, but with who turns up at the very end, do they then join forces? I mean, at some point that's got to happen, right?
Yeah, well, right at the end, I mean, well into his senior years, John Kreese comes back after Cobra Kai have won the All Valley tournament, or someone from Cobra. He comes back to the dojo, smoking a cigar out of the shadows, and it's it references how pleased he is that he's finally put Cobra Kai back on the map. It's again, Kreese, what have you been doing for 34 years?
In Karate Kid 3, you've got two adult men trying to take down a kid. It's mental. Now you've got someone. I googled as soon as I saw him. I was like, how old is he? And he looks like rubber. He's in his 70s. I'm like, right. What is a 70-year-old man? What has he been doing all his life? Just waiting for this All Valley title. It's not a big deal.
It's not even a national title. It's a local fucking city
All Valley. Not even California. It's just the Valley. It's ridiculous.
So Kreese is back, so he's obviously going to be featuring, I'd imagine, in the second series quite heavily. I'm wondering whether the true mentalist that is Terry Silver from the third one
I'm excited about this now, mate. That's the thing. How far are they going to go? Because that would be amazing.
Terry Silver, I mean, the millionaire, self-made entrepreneur, getting snarled up in an under-18s All Valley karate tournament, just not working for months so he can fucking
take down the Russo and Miyagi.
They have to try and get him back. They have to try and get Terry Silver back, because
I checked. He's still knocking around, the actor. So
right, is he still acting and stuff?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He might be going to auditions. He hasn't been in much recently, so I feel like if he gets the call, he'll be gagging for that.
Yeah, he's got to. And there's other things. The thing is, they can do so much with this and how far they want to take it. They could bring back Mike Barnes from the third one if they wanted to. They could bring back Ali from the first one, who is referenced during Cobra Kai.
You're right, yeah.
So she's like the love interest of both Johnny Lawrence and LaRusso in the first film. So that she could come in and play a part. I mean, how has this now become an interesting thing to talk about?
I know. But like, because they both sort of say they fancy that Ali still. Like LaRusso's been like worming in on her like Instagram or whatever, isn't he?
That's it, yeah.
Little rat.
It's gonna. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping the whole Kreese thing doesn't kind of derail it all. Like, I don't know, because he is like a cartoon character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
really
full pantomime, isn't he? He's
as over the top as this was, it was still grounded in some form of reality. In that, absolutely. You felt like the way people behaved was genuinely how they would. Whereas Kreese, I can never quite get into his head and figure out what he's getting out of life. I just wonder whether he'll just upset the balance of it, and you'll think, right, is that even believable for a 70-year-old to be walking in and trying to get back 34 years of lost karate school? I don't know if that's something I can buy into.
I think it makes it interesting for the next season, in that I feel like Lawrence will then be torn between like being morally a bit better, but I don't know, like he's obviously got some. Well, he hasn't really. Last time they met, wasn't Kreese trying to strangle him, or? Yeah,
that's it. Last time Kreese, or for all we know, was Kreese snapping his trophy in half and trying to strangle him until Miyagi comes over and saves the day. So they can't be on good terms.
Nah.
I wonder whether he's going to have some sort of dirt on Lawrence and like manipulate. I don't know. I feel like Lawrence is on the right path, at least becoming better, because in the film he's just like a young punk kid, isn't he? And people at that age, you are like that, aren't you, when you're that young? And you can see he's still got those traits in him, but it's far more, especially towards the back end of the series, he's definitely sort of trying to resolve issues. And he has his son. One thing we didn't mention is he's kind of estranged from his son Robbie. His mum looks after him. He hasn't really got involved for most of his life. So there's things like that they can do. There's still a journey for these characters to go on. And
it's definitely got another brilliant season in it. Like I said, I don't know where they go from there, but like, mate, if Silver turns up in episode 10 next season, I'm totally on board for season 3. But
with middle-aged Mike Barnes still with his gloves on, still like,
I'd love that. Full spiky hair would be amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I don't want to do what I did with like Metal Gear Solid 5 and try and write my own Cobra Kai season 2 of what should happen, who should be in it, and then when it doesn't happen, be annoyed. But there's opportunities for them to do some really cool stuff here. And again, a franchise that is old, it is kind of beloved, but not in the same way as some really like popular films. To see this in 2018 is brilliant.
Yeah.
And you kind of see it in the gaming industry, where games that probably wouldn't have been made a few years ago now get an opportunity because there's other platforms, whether it's putting it on the Nintendo Switch or building an indie game with interesting mechanics. It feels like this is bred from this new platform era where you can subscribe to a specific platform and then come off it if you don't want to. And because this is never going on national TV, is it?
No,
it's never going to get accepted. Not. But in this age of the internet and shows and web series now becoming popular through the likes of Netflix and Amazon Prime, all that good stuff, this has now got a new lease of life. And we've had a great time devolving it and watching it throughout the last few weeks or so.
Oh mate, I funded it. I've done the whole thing in a week. It was brilliant. It was so easy, so easy. Like you said, 25 minutes, maybe 35 tops, episode a day, probably 2 a day.
Yeah, it was, and I think I did it in like a day. I'm not even gonna lie. I think I was off a day, and I did it all.
Yeah, so. Mate, which is totally doable. It's so easy to watch.
Yeah, I hope they don't make the episodes longer in the next one. I kind of want to stick to the shorter format.
I had seen it, in my head they were about 45 minutes to an hour long. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe because that's what my train journey home is. But no, they're about spot on, I'd say, at 25 to 35.
Because you've got a lot of things these days, like TV, everything's an hour long, which means it's 45 minutes long. And then you get the odd thing like Game of Thrones, which I know the last season's going to be longer because it's the last season, but they were all pushing like an hour long without the adverts.
Yeah.
So, and which it's great TV, but sometimes you just want something that's a little bit more easy to digest, and this was perfect for that. So I hope they continue with that runtime.
Yeah, and probably keep it to the same sort of episode count as well. 10's sort of that magic number, I think.
Yeah, you don't want like a 24 season to be popping up next time. That's what they did with The Walking Dead, didn't they? Went from 8 to 16.
It's too much, yeah.
What are you doing here? And it's still got 16, even though they've got the worst stories to tell. But I wonder if that's because it's on YouTube and that platform. They thought people commuting want something that's in that kind of period of between just shy of half hour, basically. So those that are on short commutes could watch one, and those that are on longer commutes could watch one. I don't know.
Yeah, God knows. They sort of didn't really put a beat wrong with the whole thing. Like everything about it was spot on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Any last words for Cobra Kai before we shut it down and get out of here?
Just make Cobra Kai will never die. Sort of, that's the main thing. Need to know.
Cobra Kai. I actually looked for some T-shirts, but they haven't got any official ones, so need to cash in on that. Everyone wants a Cobra Kai top now, if you've seen it.
Got to be sleeveless, though. That's the main thing.
There is that.
Has to be.
That's sort of like a gym top, isn't it? Imagine walking like that.
Mate, no. If you wear it around proud, mate, of your dojo. Yeah. By the way, how much time is that kid? How many lessons was he doing? Like, was there every night of the week? But
what, Miguel?
Yeah, that was it. Just one student for about 6 months. That was fine.
Well, what it was, he was getting bullied, wasn't he? And then he finally gets about 6 months. I don't know how long it is, but a certain time in, he picks up the courage to defend himself and whips the school bully, kicks his ass in the canteen, and then everyone goes and joins after that, which kind of saves Lawrence from going out of business. But to be honest, they were bums anyway, those bullies. I reckon 2 lessons and you'll be handling them. They were just a bit bigger, that's all. But yes, Cobra Kai Never Die. Make sure you watch it. I mean, if you've listened all this way through and not watched it, you kind of know what's happened. Especially that little surprise at the end with John Kreese, which I actually knew, believe it or not.
Oh, mate.
I knew, but I'd forgotten. And it wasn't until he came out the shadows, I was like, I saw that on a thumbnail ages ago.
Who's doing that?
No, what it was an interview, because it was released in May, and on YouTube, I don't know what I'd been looking at, but recommended video card, and it said, Karate Kid cast talk through reuniting, or something like that, for Cobra Kai. And I looked at the thumbnail, and I could see Lawrence, I could see LaRusso, and I could see this old guy on the end. I couldn't tell if it was Kreese or not, and because I wasn't really interested in watching it, I didn't really register it in my mind. And then when he come on, I was like, it was that. That was him. So got lucky that the brain kind of forgot about it, which is always helpful. Anyway, let's close this down. Cobra Kai Never Die. Go out and watch it. Great surprise. Great little web series or TV made for web YouTubes, which is where we're based. youtube.com/dimpdigital.
All the best shows.
All the best shows talked about, and games and sport, everything. Any interest, any sort of niche, mixed martial arts coming up, pro wrestling making a comeback. It'll all be here one day. Anyway, nothing more from us to say apart from thanks for your time and ta-da.